The long-awaited sequel to Breath of the Wild is here! Remember when everyone thought it wouldn't take too long since it shares assets and an entire map? Well, this was the longest dev cycle of any Zelda. What do we get? The game doesn't start you in familiar territory right away, which is smart since it helps keep old and new players engaged enough to learn the new abilities, basic controls, and important features. Our abilities are new, but Ultra Hand does work like magnesis on steroids sometimes. It's also very easy to break shrine puzzles using Recall, the rewind ability, and Ultra Hand. Personally, I didn't care for the building junk aspect too much. I built when the game absolutely required me to, but avoided as much as I could. It's just not my thing in games in general. But I abused the hell out of Ascend. I literally lifted any object I could for a few seconds, dropped it, used Recall, then ascended through the object to clear shrine puzzles or just get some free mid-air arrow shots. It's amazing how many shrines were trivialized by that simple trick, or shooting bomb arrows. It made the non-combat shrines feel rather dumb compared to Breath of the Wild shrines. On the bright side, the combat shrines are great, either straight tutorials teaching you all you can do in combat or pitting you against a group of enemies without your original equipment. There's a story here, but honestly, I didn't think it was super interesting until towards the end of the Master Sword quest and the final set pieces. It feels almost like this game doesn't acknowledge Breath of the Wild as its prequel, let alone any other Zelda. Hey, if they're finally going to stop pretending the Zelda timeline matters, I'm all for it, but don't label a sequel as a sequel if it retcons so much from the previous game. The voice line script is, quite frankly, bland. And the incredible character development they add to the main cast lasts a whopping 2 cutscenes or so. Take Tulin, for example. His conflict with his dad gets resolved 10 minutes after you meet him. Then he starts formulating sentences exclusively in cliches for the rest of his screen time. Repeat this for all companion characters. The best and most emotional brief scenes in the entire game have zero dialogue, which speaks for the animation direction and how bad they are at writing character lines. This game doubles down, or maybe it's more accurate to say triples down on enemies. Both in variety, which is great, and amount, which I thought was okay at first, until it got super annoying. Lynels aren't the only notable classic monsters. They are back, but so are Gyptos like Likes and others. Even though Gyptos are supposed to be mummies and they're just weird half-zombie half-insectoids here. The new story bosses are all incredibly easy, with the exception of the Gerudo story boss, and the final boss, which is probably one of, if not the best canon fight in the entire series. It's cool and so challenging I had trouble with it with heart and stamina completely maxed and my armor upgraded to 2-star level. Only complaint I have to give is where it takes place. Not the most interesting looking arena. Even Twilight Princess Ganondorf battle arena looked more epic, and that's saying something. The amount of enemy camps did really make the experience of exploring Hyrule a lot more annoying than fun to me. Small tangent, but I struggle with the weird TH sound English has, so you're gonna have to deal with me mispronouncing Hyrule's Neo Underground map name. The depths having so many monsters spawning or ganking on you makes sense, I guess. It's supposed to be a dark, alien-looking, scary, dangerous underground world, but Hyrule's surface isn't exactly a zen experience. It feels like there's a camp with 5 or more enemies all over and 10 meters apart from each other. The only way to get anywhere close to Breath of the Wild's atmosphere is if you visit the Sky Islands. And don't get me started on the Blood Moon. I guess because there are a lot more monsters to kill, it feels like it happens way more often. And the game doesn't care if the monster died 5 seconds ago. It's coming back, equipped, and everyone else too. What's wrong with having a lot more monsters to fight, you ask? Well, this is a Zelda game. That's why. And let's be real here. Aside from using objects or terrain to give you some kind of advantage when possible, combat in Zelda was never deep. Exploration and puzzle solving has always been front and center for the series. This isn't Devil May Cry and this isn't Elden Ring. Fighting too often highlights how simple and repetitive it gets. And simple systems fit better with simple, more brief, and more sporadic encounters. This is why in every other Zelda, the only encounters designed to take longer than a few seconds to deal with are mini-bosses and high-tier enemies like Dark Nuts. While I did hate the frequency of combat, the fuse ability does make killing enemies feel way more rewarding since their parts are pretty much ideal material to turn your decayed weapons into cool, durable, and powerful weapons. Fusing neat-looking weapons that also pack a punch is easily my favorite feature, but the fuse directly affects how powerful or durable it will be, and some combinations are more obvious than others, like zonai weapons with construct parts or fusing or crushing monster parts into blunt weapons, so there is a good amount of depth to this. You can fuse to make situational tools and gimmicky shields too if you want, but I didn't use this a lot except to make skate shields. Nothing like grinding on rails like Sonic in a Zelda game. And of course, Ultra Hand and Auto Build provide you with new ways to explore the land and the air and the water. You can even make weaponized vehicles. It just sucks the game wipes all your build the moment it reloads the map, and some vehicles can barely go too far before they collapse. They made these little changes all around Hyrule that go a long way to make it feel like a new game. Caves and tunnels with different layouts and sizes, ruins that fell from the sky, and a few changes to existing towns. You should lower your expectations for the added Sky Islands and the underworld known as Depths though. Those 2 new layers to Hyrule's map are the perfect example of everything the average open world hater doesn't like. Both are designed with a lot of copy-pasting of structures and generally look the same thing everywhere, the Depths being the worst offender. And exploring them is a huge chore involving wading in pitch black darkness, throwing black balloon seeds everywhere, and finding out that whoops, there's another freaking steep hill blocking your path that you have no hope of climbing. The cycle is pretty much that, running to another semi-looking Iga hideout for an auto-build schematic you won't use, and finding copy-pasted abandoned mine number 47 to find a chest with amiibo gear sets, or if you're lucky, something useful. The fact that terrain in the depths is an upside-down reflection of the surface is somewhat interesting, but it doesn't make them any less tedious to explore. These depths aren't so deep, and you knew I was gonna say that. Dungeons have enough thematic and aesthetic variety this time around, and I'm talking specifically about the story dungeons, not shrines. But the progression is still pretty boring, with focus on finding fine thingies to activate, then fighting a boss. On a positive note, you team up with an ally companion for those dungeons, and each ally that accompanies you has a unique ability that pretty much replaces dungeon items from classic Zelda games. So an attempt to bring some of the classic feel is here. A commendable effort, but I don't know if it's just me, but it feels more artificial by comparison. Performance and graphics are a noticeable improvement over Breath of the Wild too. I rarely notice significant loss in frames per second, and the lighting they went with makes a huge difference in making the world of Hyrule look beautiful. Music, however, is very forgettable. The vast majority of it is taken directly from Breath of the Wild, and apart from the dungeon tracks, absolutely none of the new pieces really stood out to me. It's one of those soundtracks I can say works to set the mood, but I will forget all about what the melody was after I turn the console off. Man, do I miss the majesty of Skyward Sword's music.
Oh. Yeah.
I have always defended open world games and the features people call padding. I don't think there's anything wrong with having these modular, cyclical features that they spread around the map. And you have so much space the player might not even use. There's only so much unique content you can sprinkle over it. The Korok seeds didn't bother me, and I liked finding and completing shrines. Still, I can't make excuses for Tears of the Kingdom. I wouldn't describe it as brimming with content. I think the correct way to word it is, it's bloated with content. Now I have no problem with the main story quests or the light routes in the depths or the search for geoglyphs. The problem is everything else in case you dare to try to aim for completion. Collect Korok seeds to expand your inventory. Collect light orbs from shrines to expand your heart and stamina. Collect Zonai to increase your energy cells. Expect to spend at least 30 hours mining Zonai if you want to max them, by the way. Collect Sage's Will to upgrade the attack power of the very clunky avatars you unlock after each dungeon. Collect gems from cave frogs so you can trade for items. Collect bows so you can trade them for other items. Find 58 wells around Hyrule. Help Addison with his useless signposts in over 80 locations. Collect, 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 collect. This game makes Donkey Kong 64 blush. I get what their intention was. They wanted players to find something that translated to personal progress relatively quickly while exploring. So their solution was to spread a billion different collectibles everywhere. To me, what this did was make this Zelda in particular feel like a checklist simulator when you're not focusing on the story. Well, at least the quests are better this time around. They actually immerse you in Hyrule and its people's problems or rumors instead of being crappy. Give me mushroom and I'll give you this elixir and you're probably not gonna use it, deals like in the previous game. I especially like the monster hunting squad and the newspaper quest lines. I don't think this game is GOAT material at all, and I should warn you too. If you go for anything close to completion, between excess of checklist driven content and the new maps being so copy-paste crazy, playing this game for too long will drain your energy and your soul. I had a great time until I just wanted the game to end, so I completed all shrines, which do have a cool reward this time, and rushed to the final boss. Tears of the Kingdom is a great game, but I wouldn't put it anywhere near my top 5 Zeldas. I enjoyed my time with Breath of the Wild a lot more. But, do I still recommend this game? Well, yes. I recommend to Zelda fans who don't hate the Breath of the Wild or open world formula in general, and especially to people who like challenge. This game is basically Super Breath of the Wild 2 Turbo Prepare to Die edition. It's easily the hardest 3D Zelda, arguably the second hardest Zelda game ever after Adventure of Link, which isn't a bad thing but discourages me from recommending this to anyone new to this type of game. Because you're gonna die a lot, and a casual player will get frustrated, guaranteed. So yeah, easy recommendation if you like what you see, just not for people who rarely venture outside Pokemon or Animal Crossing. That recommendation goes in spite of my personal feelings. You'll probably enjoy this a lot more than I have if you focus more on finishing the story, then do the extra stuff in sporadic short sessions. Or if you don't try to complete it 100% at all and just collect what happens to be in your way. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is exclusive to Nintendo Switch. It's a bit expensive, but in spite of its excessive content boring me, I don't think it's overpriced for what it offers. Nintendo doesn't drop the price of their games, so buy it if you can. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, why not check out my other videos? And if you think I'm nitpicking, let me know in the comments. Or subscribe for more upcoming reviews. New games, old games, only my backlog knows.